Hello friends, welcome to this channel. Today we are going to see about AWS S3 access point. S3 access point is one of the S3 bucket feature which allows to control access to the S3 bucket using access policy at a access point level. So consider this requirement. We have one bucket with a different set of objects and we need to provide access to different set of users, and our requirement is the access differs for this different set of users. So one set of users need a read access, or one set of users need a write access, and also we have requirements that more users will get added in the future. So in this case we can very well achieve this requirement using bucket policy. That is still possible, but the risk is if you are keep on changing this bucket policy, we are at risk of exposing the data unnecessarily to some users, or we are at risk of denying the access to the needed users. So this happens whenever we are changing the bucket policy more frequently. So to avoid this, what we can do, we can achieve this requirement using access point. So with access point, what we can do, the access control for the different set of users can be done in the dedicated access point created for that specific set of users. So we can granularly control the access from the dedicated access point policy. So we are going to quickly see this in a demo. So what we are going to do is, in this demo, so we are going to create one S3 bucket, and we are going to define a policy on the S3 bucket level, and we are going to create the S3 on access point for that S3 bucket, and we are going to try to access the S3 bucket objects from the EC2 instance. So this is what we are going to quickly see. Let me jump into the AWS console. For this demo, I have created this user. So we are going to access the objects using this user account. Okay, so we can go to S3 console now. Okay, so I'm going to create one new S3 bucket. In the interest of time, I have already created the S3 bucket policy, and I can quickly explain what the policy is doing. So first we need to create the bucket before changing the policy. So I have created the bucket. Now I'm going to permissions. I'm leaving this block all public as on. Going to edit this bucket policy. So I'm going to put this very simple bucket policy. So this bucket policy basically allows permissions, basically provides full permissions for all users for this S3 bucket, and with a condition. This condition says you allow this access only with this data access point ARN is matching. So we can, this demo, in the later section we can see how this condition is basically controlling the access to S3 bucket. Okay, so I'm saving this. So now we have created the one S3 bucket and we have attached the policy. So our step 1 is over. Okay, next what we are going to do, we are going to create the access point. Okay, so I'm going to give this as the access point name, and I'm going to select this network origin as VPC, not internet. Okay, so if I choose this network origin as VPC, I need to provide the VPC ID. If in case of internet, it's not needed. Okay, so since I have selected network origin as VPC, I'm going to give my VPC ID. I'm going to leave this block all public as selected, and I'm going to add this access point policy. So what this access point policy is doing is, this is going to allow get permission. I'm going to change this to list for now. Okay, we can see, and then in the resource section we have provided the ARN of this access point ARN. Okay, so this is, we need both this entry. If you want to, this entry is really needed if you want to perform any operations like on the objects level. So both these entries are needed. So I'm going to create this access point. Okay, so step 2 is over now. So we created the bucket and we created the access point. So now it's time to check the access. For this, we can log into our EC2 instance. I have already logged into this EC2 instance, and also I have configured the access ID, secret access ID for my test user account. Okay, so if I do this AWS configure, you can see I have already configured the user. Okay, so what we are going to do, see first is I'm going to see whether I can list the objects by providing the bucket name. Okay, so let's copy this bucket name and put it here. AWS S3LS. It says access denied, which is expected. So I'm going to delete this bucket name. I'm going to access point. So I'm going to copy this access point alias, just paste it here. Nothing is returned because we have not uploaded any objects. Let's upload some test object here. Okay, so if I try to list it now, yes, we got it. So this is alias is one thing actually. So instead of alias, we can give a run of this access point also. Let's try whether that works. Yes, this is working. So why my last two commands are working but the first command with this bucket name is not working? That is because of our S3 bucket policy. So if you noticed, in our bucket policy we have added a condition. So that condition is clearly saying if this data access pattern is matching this access point name, only then it will list all this, it will allow access to the bucket. Okay, so we are controlling from the bucket policy. So this bucket policy now allowing access only from the access point, and no objects can be accessed using the direct bucket name. Okay, and also we have noticed in this permission, so we have only given list. So we can see that. So instead of ls, I'm going to try the get object. So API get object. So in terms of the name of in place of bucket name, we can give the alias name, and we're going to specify the key. So if we go to the bucket and this key, this is our key. This is my key, and this is my output name. Yeah, all looks good. Okay, try to get this. Yeah, so you can see it says access denied. So why? Because in our permissions, access point permission, we allowed only list. So this is bucket policy. So if I go to access point permissions, we have allowed only list. Let's try to change this from list to get. I'm going to save this policy. If we go back and do the same, get object permissions, we are able to get this object. So if you try to do list, it is access denied. So we have seen this now. Our bucket, the access change can be done from the access point itself. We have not made any changes to the bucket. So if at all we are creating another access point here, so that access point will not affect the policy of this access point. So this way we are at very minimal risk of changing permission for a existing user. Hope this demo is clear. Please feel free to add any comments, and if you are not already subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and like and share. Thanks for watching. Thank you. Bye.